Hello, everyone. Welcome to Jamaica 411. Thank you so much for stopping by. I would like to say a special welcome to my subscribers. Welcome back. Yes. And it's always lovely to have you. And of course, reading your comments. So please, guys, keep the comments going. Please. Yes. Please also, everyone, give the video a thumbs up from now on. Please give the video a thumbs up. And if you have not yet done so, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel because you know what old time people say, encouragement sweetens labor. Not true. I would also appreciate it if you would all share this video, especially to send it to Mas Damien, who is on the screen at the moment. Yes, share to him too, please. And for all of your kindness, I thank you in advance. Well, now that you're back with me, let's get down to business. So I came upon this. It was a sitting of Parliament last Friday. And of course, I decided to listen because, there was a bit of controversy. And having listened, Mas Damien went and delivered of himself an analysis of Andrew Holness's speech. This is his budget speech, and Damien is breaking it down. And in the course of breaking it down, he wants to point out what he called lies. And he named the various types of lies and therefore, wanted to give the impression that Holness had said some things that were either lying by omission, exaggerated, or fabricated, and then he named out some others lies. Very, very that was an excellent part of his speech. He does have these moments when he comes up with these brilliant stuff that makes a lot of sense, and then he has his other moments. And sadly, he did have those moments. And of course, our job here at Jamaica 411 is to point these things out to you. So for now, let's listen to Damien. Let me see if you can spot anything, but listen carefully to what he has to say, and then I'll rejoin later with my comments.
Education and human capital development. In that period, tertiary access jumped. University participation rose from 6.5% in 1991 to 19.5% in 2004. Yes. And moved from one university to 6.
Now, that voice you hear in the background is Senator Floyd Morris. He simply cannot keep his mouth shut during the man's presentation and delivered of himself a fact that Damian Crawford did not mention in his presentation, that the cause of the reason why there was an increase in tertiary participation was because the tertiary institutions moved from 1 to 6. There were no new institutions. What happened was PJ upgraded several of the colleges and enabled them to offer university courses such as MICO, right? And a number of others. And that is the reason why we now have the tertiary level education increased by the amount that Damien is about to tell us. You follow? Yes. So had he not said so, we might have forgotten and got the impression that what PJ did was to build several universities were built under his regime, which would have gone to his credit. But instead, what he did was to upgrade several of the colleges and other tertiary institutions that were offering, I think, certificate and diplomas to university. So they now can offer university degree. MICO is one, and so was CAST. Remember, it's now called, what is it called now? University of Technology? Yes, it was called CAST before. College of Arts, Science, and Technology. Yes. So let's continue to listen.
I moved from one university to six. I moved from one university to six. Universal Access Fund was also created. And we had a 500% increase in cell phones, and new fiber optic infrastructure was laid.
And we had to amend the legislation.
Some of these people seem to believe that the cell phone came
Just like that.
just like that. And if you have money, you buy a phone. Cellular phones could not have worked
Yes.
if the fiber optics were not run and the necessary infrastructure were not put in place. It was the People's National Party that did that.
And I sat in here when them opposed the bill.
But I want you to also hear this. Poverty rate reduced from 28.4% in 1990 to 9.9% in 2007. This was due to efforts such as the PATH program, the National Poverty Eradication Program that was targeted. 800 million US at that time, billions now in today's money, in investments, and the TEF fund was established. Now let us compare periods. Tertiary enrollment increased by 306%.
So when PJ had upgraded several institutions from colleges, which enabled them to offer university courses, right? Like Michael College, I believe it's now Michael University. The College of Arts, Science and Technology, CAST, became UTech, University of Technology, and there were others. Damion is now showing that it immediately increased the enrollment. It's not enrollment. So those students who were enrolled at that time, who entered into colleges, now were able to end their courses with a university degree instead of a certificate or a diploma. So that was beneficial to them, and it was an excellent move. I'm not quite sure if all the courses that were being offered, I doubt that all the courses that were being offered was upgraded to university degree, but quite a number of them were. So Floyd Morrison, by talking too much, what he did really was to upset what it was that Damion was trying to put out. Damion was simply trying to put out that under the PNP of the 1990s, the tertiary enrollment grew without saying how. But Floyd Morris can't keep his mouth shut and he ball it out, right? So what Damion had done, according to his definition of a lie, he was attempting to lie by omission, by not telling the people how it was accomplished. Although he would argue that that is not omission. He was presenting his argument, which is precisely what it was that Holness and the others were doing, presenting their argument, putting out their statistics, and the statistics that they would put out coming from the BOJ and the PIOJ, Planning Institute of Jamaica, that they practically have almost every statistics you can think of, including about crime and poverty and the like. So that is where the statistics will come from. So when they present the statistics, it is for them to interpret those statistics in the way that they think and the information that they think that the public needs to hear. In the case of Damion, he's doing the same thing. He's using the same statistics in order to present an interpretation of the statistics that he thinks is a correct interpretation and the public needs to hear. You follow? Yes. Loudmouth Floyd Morris, speaking out of turn, messed him up when he said this.
I moved from one university to six.
And Damion recognized it and was telling them, wait until your turn. Wait until your turn, you can put your point. Because he realized that they don't know what he's going to say. And they may have been talking out of turn. Right? And they just will not shut up until that happens. Anyway, let us continue to listen.
Students getting access to universities and colleges. It moved up by 306%. Let us look at Andrew Holness period from 2016 to 2024. It moved up by 3%.
That's on the ground? What?
It's by 3. You can see it with them, 3%. And they said this is the greatest. What variable are we using to analyze that variable? You don't have the ability. I write a speech from yesterday, never know what I'm going to say. The growth, I'm quoting Minister Holness now, Prime Minister Holness, on poverty. He says, the graph now being displayed, this is the exact graph that the Prime Minister displayed. The graph now being displayed illustrates the trajectory of poverty prevalence in our country. It clearly shows that under my administration, meaning my Andrew Holness administration, we have achieved a steady and measurable decline in poverty, apart from temporary spikes in 2020 caused by the pandemic. This is a direct quotation of Andrew Holness. Now let us look at the graph. They received in 2016, because his administration is 2016 to now 2024. In 2016, poverty was 11.6%. And now it is 12.1%. It has increased. Yet we have a prime minister that says this graph that shows an increase in his administration clearly shows that under his administration there's a steady and measurable decline. In his administration, he didn't say there's a decline since COVID. I couldn't argue with that because it goes to 21%. He didn't say after we caused a spike in 2017 up to 19.3%, there's a decline.
There was a global pandemic, guys.
This man said, how can we trust a man like that? Who said that in my administration, from 2016 to 2024, when at the start he received it at 11.6, and it is now above what it was. Above what it was. Let us look. Let us look, Sophie, move it quickly, because these are the Prime Minister's words, not my words. Move again, so. No, listen, no, make it stay there now. This is what poverty handing over was. In 1988, the JLP handed over to the PMP a poverty rate of 30.5%. Senator Bunting, you seen that? I want you to put her in glasses, good. 1988, it ended, that is the last part of the year now. So we give them just that now. So we get it 89, 30.5%. The PMP administration that they lambast took it down under PJ Patterson and Portia Simpson Miller later to 9.9%.
Absolutely.
Hold on. The JLP then won in 2011. So we give them it 2007. We give them it at 9.9. They carried it to 19.9%. Hear what I say? More than double it. Come again now.
So what about pizza?
Wait no man, make them stay no man. We don't have time for talk. Wait. The PMP got it back and moved it from 19.9 to 11. Which party is the party for the poor?
Well, since Mas Damian encouraged us to go and use AI, I decided to take his advice. And what I found was very interesting, and I'm sure you'll all find it interesting as well. First of all, it appears as though some of the figures that were produced in the Prime Minister's debate in terms of poverty, particularly in 2016, may not have been accurate. So I am going to show you now what it is that they said the poverty was in 2016. And then I'm going to make a point which Mas Damion may appreciate. So I'm going to ask you, please, somebody, if you rub shoulders with Mas Damion and you and he are good friends, pass this on to him for me, please. I don't think we want to disturb the children, so I will kindly ask you to pass this information on to the teachers who were present in the parliament with the school children, and they will determine how to disseminate the information to the children in such a way that it doesn't do much damage to their confidence or confuse them. You're looking at part of a report that was put up by Statin. And as you can see, it says that the proportion of population living below the national poverty line by sex and age. In 2015, as you can see, in Jamaica, the overall figure was 21.2%. And then in 2016, it was 17.1%, not 11%, as reported by the Prime Minister in his speech. So I don't know where they got that figure from. It must have been a mistake. Now we come to the substantive issue. Damion said that when the PNP handed over the baton in 2016, the poverty rate was at 11%. And that 11% was mentioned in the Prime Minister's speech. So those are not his figures, but the Prime Minister's figures. Let us use that figure for now. The current figure for 2024 is 12.3%. And so naturally, that is an increase over 2016. But here is the problem. And I want you to pay attention, Damion, because you spoke about the various types of lies. You spoke about lying by omission. And then you talk about the fabricated lies. You also talk about exaggeration and so on and so forth. I am not going to get into which lies your comments may fall into. But for the record, I do not believe that you are lying. Let me put it to you that way, because lying has a specific meaning. You have to know that what you're saying is not true, but you say it anyway. You are not lying when you said that the PNP handed over the baton in 2016. No. But it was faulty thinking. Faulty thinking because you failed to do your research. Now, it's one of two things. When you talk about poverty in the year 2016, you're either speaking about 1st of January to the 31st of December, known as the calendar year. And if the poverty rate is being measured along fiscal year, the fiscal year begins April 1 of one year, 2016, and it ends March 31 in 2017. Since the vast majority of the months of the fiscal year falls within the first year that is mentioned, which is 2016, I suppose people generally called it 2016. If they're not going to say 2016, 2017, they'll call it 2016. Are you following me, folks? Yes. All right. So we're on the same page. Now, as far as I understand it, the poverty rate is measured along the fiscal year, April 1 of one year to March 31 of the next year. But even if it was measured along the calendar year from January to December, it really doesn't matter. At least it doesn't matter in this case because of when the general elections took place in 2016. What Damion failed to recognize is that the election in 2016 was held February 25, 2016. When the Labour Party won the election, you remember they had promised the 1.5 and they had reconfigured because they had promised that they would implement it in the first year. And for some inexplicable reason, Portia decided to go call the election before she read her budget. And so when the Labour Party won and the matter was settled, they took their position in March of 2016 and they sought to reconfigure the budget to add in the 1.5. Well, they couldn't implement all of it because it turned out to cost us 32 billion. So they put only a portion of it in, a phased it in. One portion in 2016, 2017, and the other one in 2017, 2018. And that's the last time we have had an increase in tax. So here's what I'm saying to you now. That budget that was implemented in 2016, so we can say it was a Labour Party budget because it was they who had it, the responsibility, and they had actually made changes. They made the changes that they want and the changes that they felt they don't need to change, which is all the budget allocations to the various ministries. They kept that in place. Now, here is the point. When you talk about poverty being at 11%, that was not a PNP handing over to the Labour Party. We must be fair, Damion. We mustn't walk and say things that are not true about people, right? Not because we don't support the Labour Party, that I mean we're going to walk and tell lie on them. In all fairness, that 2016 registering of 17.1% or 11% as the Prime Minister presented in his budget was not a handing over. That could not have been handed over. That was the figure after the Labour Party implemented the 1.5. That was the figure at the end of 2016. You follow? Because they took office in March of 2016. So even if you're talking about the fiscal year, that will be from April until March 31 of 2017. That is a full year and that is their budget. Remember, they took office before the budget was read and they had reconfigured the budget to suit their policies that they were coming with. So a fit them budget. So anything that occurred during the year, if it had gone haywire, it would have been them. And if it had gone the other way, where there is lower poverty, as is the case, you see here 17.1 or 11%, whichever it is, then they are the ones to be credited. The handing over date, therefore, would have been 2015. That would have been the PNP's last budget year. And that figure here is 21.2%. That is what would have been handed over to the Labour Party. You understand now, Damion? Because that would have been Portia's budget. And that would run from April 1 until March 31 in 2016. So the poverty that was registered for that year, 2015, would have been what it was that the Labour Party would have inherited. And the policies that they implemented in that short space would have resulted in the figures coming down nearly 4% from 21.2% in 2015 when the PNP was in office and brought down to 17.1% when the Labour Party took over in March of 2016. That is their baby. They have to claim it. So that's what I have to bring for you today. This was very short, yes. I'll bring more of Damien's speech because he says a lot of stuff. And this was one of the mistakes, one of the faulty thinking, which he's prone to have occasionally. And just thought I'd bring it to your attention to have the record corrected. So thank you so much for joining me, for sharing, liking, subscribing, and leaving your comments in the comments section. Until next time, take very good care of yourselves and walk good.
All kind of reasons now. You should apologize to the people. Google it. Google it. No, Google all behind time. AI it, chat GPT it.